Best of r/entitled parents episode 81. Subscribe for edit videos daily. Edit, thank you everyone for all the love. And my first silver, y'all are amazing. Edit 2, gold, you're going to make me cry. First time posting. On mobile, TL/doctor at the bottom. Cast, EM, entitled sister-in-law with her kids ages 6-14. Me. Insert clever line here. And NH, new hubby. For clarity, at my wedding we had 2 cakes, the pretty little wedding cake, and then sheet cake for everyone else to eat. This is from a couple years back, but will always stick with me. It was our wedding day, nothing fancy, which was perfect and everything was going smoothly. I looked gorgeous in my dress, NH looked amazing, perfect weather, etc. We had an outdoor wedding in the afternoon, and after the ceremony we did the cut the cake bit. Everyone cheered and we invited people to go get started in the food line. Then our photographer pulled us away to get some last pics before the sun started going down. We were gone for maybe 10 minutes, then came back over for the cake. My best friend who works as head pastry chef at a nice restaurant made it for us. A one-tier red velvet and buttercream dream. We get back and the entire cake is gone. I can't believe it. I look around and see Em sitting at a table with her 6 kids, each with giant pieces of cake. And I mean giant. The entire cake split into 7 pieces for her and the kids, and they're all wolfing through it fast. Emmy, hey, did you take all the cake? NH, and I haven't even had any yet. EM, yes you did. I saw you cut the cake earlier. Me, well yes, we cut it, but didn't you notice none was missing? We had to go take a couple more photos before the sun went down and we didn't even get to try it yet. EM, look, my kids were hungry and they're not eating whatever that is. Gestures to the catered food and the sheet cake the restaurant I work for donated as a wedding present that's on a table on the other side of everyone. Me, trying to be patient and not cause a scene at my own wedding. Look, I get that, but you probably should have brought them snacks if you didn't want them eating the food here. Now I don't get to have that memory with NH. Didn't it occur to you to ask when everyone else was getting food from over there? EM, whatever, that's really not what this day is all about, and honestly you should be grateful that we came at all. Do you know how hard it is to get 6 kids out the door for meaningless little things like this? At this point NH has overheard what's happening and comes over to jump in. But not only has he heard, so did my family and best friend. If there are 2 people in the world you don't mess with, it's my sister and my best friend. Imagine 2 minuscule, neither is over 5'1", balls of fury that are now flying over. EM is now looking horrified as all of them are in her face yelling. She turns absolutely beet red before huffing, see if I ever come to one of you people's weddings again. You people. Sigh. EM tries to simultaneously grab all 6 kids at the same time to get them to her car fast. My sister grabbed a slice of the sheet cake and threw it at EM, hitting her in the back of the head with it as EM stomped away. Is it bad that I still kinda giggle thinking of EM awkwardly leaning as far forward as she could on the drive home, trying not to let frosting drip down the back of her neck? Anyway, we haven't heard from her again, although I did get a text about a week later from her oldest kid apologizing for her mom's behavior and for eating all my wedding cake. The rest of the wedding was lovely. TL/doctor, EM gave my entire wedding cake to her 6 kids, blamed us, and got ripped apart by my family. Thank you. Next. Hey, some of you seem to enjoy my last EntitledParents post. Because I'm a minor in the service industry, I have my fair share of these stories, so I figured I'd let you read another situation I dealt with. Context. Copied from my previous post. I'm a teenager that works at a multi-floor restaurant. Because it's usually very busy, we only have a kitchen on the first floor, and waiters are generally assigned to a ton of tables. We have waiters and servers. Waiters take the orders of the customers and generally handle most of the upfront contact with them, and servers carry the food, usually up flights of stairs, on a tray to the table that ordered it. I am a server. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby present your cast. Me, teen who was too dead tired to laugh about the EP in the moment. Kaya, a friend of mine, also a teen, and also a server, not a real name. ED, entitled Dad, pain in the ass, probably the only adult not drunk. DG1, drunk guy 1, friend of ED. DG2, drunk guy 2, friend of ED. DG3, drunk guy 3, didn't really do or say anything, but I figured I'd add him here because why not? NG, nice guy, son of EP, the poor thing. Alright, so now that you've met your cast, here's a little extra context. Me and Kaya, a co-worker of mine, are both minors working a part-time job so we can save for vehicles for our junior year of high school. This happened during a winter break, where we had picked up as of our co-workers' morning shifts that we could without going over the child labor limits, so we were completely exhausted on this Tuesday morning. Onto the story. Kaya and I were in an extremely understaffed shift where there was only one other server during the lunch rush, and all 3 floors were mostly active. There was so much going on that we were rushing around floors to serve as much food as we could as quickly as possible. I happened to get 5 or 6 third floor orders in a row because my luck is terrible, but when I finally got to rest for a minute in the kitchen, Kaya came up to me, clearly uncomfortable about something. Dialogue isn't exact. This was over a year ago. Me, hey, are you okay? Kaya, yeah, I'm fine. Me, you sure? Kaya, yep. Quick question though, did you happen to pass by table 218, a table on the 2nd floor, recently? Me, no, I've been on 3rd for a while now. Why? Kaya, there's this group of older guys there with some younger dude. Me, did they do something? Kaya, no, but they were staring at my chest and ass. I tried to let them know I wasn't comfortable with that but they didn't seem to care. Me, do you want me to get a manager? Kaya, no, but can you try to take trays to 2nd so I can avoid them for a little while? Me, of course. I could use the break from 3rd anyways. For a while I ran as many of the 2nd floor trays as I could. I kept an eye on that table and sure enough, they were doing the same to me, but their eyes were focusing on the wrong places. Now I'm not particularly big-chested and I had on a loose uniform anyways, but I had been working out at least 4 times a week for a couple months and my work pants were pretty tight on me because of it. Not to mention I was a minor. I came to find that while it was uncomfortable, they were ogling the adult waitresses too, so I was sure they would be dealt with. I mostly just avoided them. But then, the dreaded tray came through. The food was for table 218, and the male server wasn't in the room so I had to take it. It was a large and very heavy tray because there were 5 of them, which means a lot of food. I slowly carried it up the steps and set it down on the mini collapsible table we carry when we have large trays. They didn't even bother to hide that they were staring at my chest and butt, and I doubt they even heard when I said what each item was, because the only person that told me where to set stuff was NG. I finally had enough of it and said something. For the record, I literally never talk to anybody disrespectfully. I was just so tired from a busy week and crazy shift that my protective friend clause came out for the sake of Kaya and the other waitresses that were bothered by this group. Me, I'm sorry to bother you, but you're making me uncomfortable with the staring. I'm under 18 and would prefer to be modest in my workplace, so could you please back off? DG1 rolls his eyes. Please, I wasn't doing anything wrong. You shouldn't wear tight pants if you don't want attention. DG2, absolutely. Me, sorry, but I don't have another pair of work pants, so that's out of my control. Second, what's your excuse for the other waiters and servers? DG1, what are you going to do about it? Me, cutting to the point because I was too tired to deal with it. This could be considered harassment. You could get kicked out of the restaurant for that. NG's face was red with embarrassment at this point, and he pulled out his phone and messed around on it. ED, however, heard my statement and spoke up in a deep and semi-threatening tone. ED, are you threatening to kick us out of the restaurant on my son's 21st birthday? Me, no, of course not. I'm just asking that your friends stop looking at our waitresses in places they shouldn't be. ED, please, you're just an employee. I'm paying a lot of money to be here and I can't get you fired for threatening us. Me, I'm sorry, but you are the ones ogling people that are just trying to do their job. I'm not going to just let you make my friends and co-workers uncomfortable. ED, raising his voice, do you even know who I am? I am a single father who runs a business. I know more about business than you ever will, and I know that a customer like me is more important than a minimum wage brat like you. Me, well actually, ED, get me your manager now. Me, whatever, dude. I go to get one of my managers, and he sent me back to the kitchen so I could keep working. I didn't ever hear everything that happened next, but I know it involved 3 things. My manager completely shut down the ED and his drunk friends. They are now banned from the restaurant for a long time. NG was really embarrassed and nice, decided to stay to apologize to me and Kaya, and the manager gave him free ice cream for his birthday. Win-win. Thank you. Next. I know this isn't half as bad as other people's stories, but here we go. My mother is the type of person who gets very frustrated if things aren't done exactly the way she wants. Above that, she also has a bad habit of interrupting everyone mid-sentence and start talking herself. Here's what happened. My brother was telling about his day at school and it was a story that could be finished in about 2 minutes, but my mom kept interrupting him, so it took him 10 minutes to finish talking. When he was done, I wanted to tell my mom that it's not really polite to interrupt people when they're talking, but then she actually cut me off mid-sentence. I then said, "I'm the middle of her sentence, see? You're doing it again." And that's when she pulled the "don't you disrespect me like that, I am your mother" card. I looked over at my brother for assistance and he said, "Well, he's got a point." To which I responded with, "See, I'm not the only one who's noticed it." I was barely finished with my sentence when my mom then got angry and started denying that she'd ever interrupted someone and skipped to 3 seconds later. Now I'm grounded. Thank you. Next. On mobile don't hate. So I lifeguard at a country club with a pretty big pool. The shallow end of the pool is only 3-5 feet deep. So me and my fellow lifeguard friends all sit in the middle of the pool and guard when it is not busy. Diving into the shallow end of the pool is wicked dangerous and against the law in my state. Cast, me, ED snobby arsehole, EK1 Satan's son, EK2 Satan's daughter, LGF lifeguard friends. So EK1 is maybe 11 or 12 years old boy. He usually comes to the pool with his ED and little sister, EK2. EK what the lifeguards describe as a problem child. We have yelled at EK1 for trying to get a 5-year-old to say the N-word and have constantly broken up fights between him and EK2. ED is not much better. He looks like a 35-year-old brat that has a short temper and drives a $60 K Ford Raptor. So EK1 and his family walk into the pool like an hour before closing time. EK1 and 2 jump in and start playing in the empty pool, while me and LGF sit in the middle talking. After about 15 minutes, EK1 and 2 start fighting, and ED pulls EK1 out of the pool. ED tries talking to him but EK1 turns around, sprints headfirst towards the shallow end and dives right in. Me and the other lifeguards clearly saw him do it, and when EK1 comes up for air, ED says, "EK, get back here." The lifeguard next to me yells, "EK1 don't dive in the shallow end." Me, I am a 6'3" and I have a very loud yelling voice. "Tom, if you dive in the shallow end again, you are banned from the pool for 2 weeks. ED was pissed. He started yelling at me, saying I didn't have the authority to kick his son out, and that he was handling it. I calmly said, "Sir, it is my job to make sure your son stays safe. Your son could have broken his neck and I would have had to rescue him." That pissed him off even more. ED said that he was reporting me to my boss and taking me to the board of directors at the club. I just sat there calmly letting him rant. Adapted this from my Twitter post. Thank you. Next. I hate using abbreviations, so figure out who says what on your own. I've done my best to make it as easy to follow as possible. I'm currently taking classes away from home, and since I don't like the idea of living out of my car, I rented a room at a nearby bed and breakfast that houses students. Great owners, amazing rooms, private bathrooms, fast Wi-Fi, free use of state-of-the-art kitchen, and above all else, affordable. Of course, because the place I'm staying at is a B&B first, the owners request that I stay flexible during tourist seasons, which means I keep things at a ready-to-move status. Tourist patrons pay way more to stay here, so they take priority over room choice. Thankfully, tourist season only lasts from the 1st of September to the 22nd of October, and from the 1st of February to the 18th, and doesn't come without compensation. The owners have temporary rooms in their private residence. They call it the retreat, set up for students who have to move for tourists, as well as a contract stating that if any items left in our rooms is damaged/stolen by tourists, it will be fixed/replaced. Well, it's tourist season again, thanks to the nearby town's winter and Valentine's festivals that happen every February. I've been moved once so far, but it wasn't too bad. The owner called all the students into the common room to explain the room situation for the coming days. Alrighty then, housemate 1 and housemate 2, you're gonna stay the night up at the retreat. OP, you're the lucky one who gets to stay this time. Mind your manners, and just do what you do. Later that day, I'm playing on my Xbox when I'm caught off guard as my door swings open and a family of 3 pour in. The father sets down a couple of luggage bags while the kid starts running around the room. The mother takes one look at me and says, "I was told that you'd be moved out by now. Why are you still here?" I politely tell her that they may have the wrong room, and that mine wasn't selected for patron use. "That's ridiculous. I specifically requested this room. You better leave now, or I'll be having a strongly worded conversation with the owner." I ask her to give me a second as I call up the owner. She gives me a HMPH, whatever. The owner picks up, and I double check with him about my room. He confirms that they have the wrong room, and that he'll be there shortly to work it out. I relay this information to the mother, who just doesn't accept this. "This is stupid. I asked for this room and I paid the fee, so you got to leave now." The kid finally notices my Xbox. "Awesome. We have an Xbox while we stay here. Can I play it, Mom? Please?" The mom agrees, totally ignoring the fact that she has no right to allow her child to use someone else's things. I keep the controller away from the kid and say that if I'm leaving, I'll be taking my Xbox with me. Her brat did not like that answer, and began to wail like a banshee. "Now look what you've done. You made my baby cry. He's going to be in a bad mood for the rest of our stay now. You better hope the owner is forgiving, 'cause he's getting an earful when he shows up." All this is going on, and not a word has been breathed from the dad. He just stands behind his wife, arms crossed and with a mildly discomforted look on his face. The owner finally shows up, and it goes like this. "Hello folks, sorry for the mix-up. Your room is taken up by this punk, we know. But this is the room I asked for, and it's the room we're getting, or we'll find somewhere else. Mom, your bill states that you asked for room 4. This is room 5. I've already made the arrangements for room 5 to be used, so if you could please just follow me, we'll get your family set up." "No, this room has an Xbox video game entertainer." "Yes, she called it that, and my son wants to use it while we stay here. It's this room or nothing. You'll be hard pressed to find another place with vacancy during the festival. Besides, it's just down the hall and is just as nice as this room. Does it have an Xbox? I don't think. Then it's this room, or we take the Xbox with us." I interject, saying that no one is taking or using my Xbox without my permission. "Why do you even have that thing anyways? You look like an adult. Act like one and quit playing childish video games." "Mom, it's room 4 or nothing. And I can assure you, it's not gonna be easy to find a new place to stay. Even if you did, it won't be as nice as here." "Fine, I'll take it, but don't expect a review over 3 stars. She stomps out of the room, wailing brat and pack mule husband in tow. The owner gives me a yeesh look before apologizing and closing the door. That was 2 days ago, and they're still down the hall from me for another 2 days. The kid has had at least 4 very audible temper tantrums since then. God have mercy. TL. Doctor, tourist mom tries to take my room in mix-up. Makes ass of herself. Thank you. Next. Hi everyone. You know the deal. Long time lurker. English is my first language and I'm on my PC. This story doesn't revolve around an EP but rather an ET. Entitled Teacher. Some background. My high school was fairly big, but our chorus group was very small. At best, 12 people. We just had a severe imbalance between the band, theater, and choir nerds and happened to get the short stick. However, that didn't stop our choir/band teacher, who is our ET of the story, from pretending like we were the best choir group in the county and it was all thanks to his brilliant teaching. snobby, arrogant, and passive-aggressive just enough where you couldn't directly call him out on it. He acted like a small high school performance was on the same scale of playing at the Oscars, and the 12 of us were mainly in choir for fun as an art elective, not as a serious career choice. One member of our small cast was a girl who I'll call Jay from here on out. Jay was on the autism spectrum. She had difficulty speaking, communicated more physically than verbally, i.e., flapping her arms and pointing, and had an aide in all her classes to help her with whatever she needed. To clarify, I don't know much about being on the autism spectrum, and I don't wish to offend or come off as offensive. I'm only trying to describe Jay as best as I can. She had special needs, but tried her best to participate. Everyone in the group liked her. She was very sweet and kind to all the members of the choir, and we'd help her as best we could. However, it was very evident that she couldn't harmonize or match her tone with others. We the students understood this and just tried to make the best of it, because we understood she had special needs, but ET wouldn't have it. He'd always tell her to quiet down, or try to harmonize, while still being patronizing. He'd often speak with Jay's aide after class about seeing her switch to another elective. Now on to our main story. We had 2 performances, a small winter concert, and a larger spring concert. We sang, at most, 5-6 songs, and then it was time for the band to perform. We'd been practicing for the winter concert since the start of the fall semester, and it was apparent that as time went on, ET got more and more short with Jay, to the point that he wasn't even hiding it anymore. ET would say things like, "Jay, you need to try and harmonize with the others. Do you understand? Try. I don't think you are. Jay, you're being too loud. I need you to quiet down. You can sing with everyone else when you learn to keep your voice softer. Jay, maybe you shouldn't practice today, you're throwing everyone else off." Now, the rest of us knew and understood that yes, while Jay didn't sound like the rest of us and probably wouldn't be able to match the rest of us, this was a high school chorus class that nobody except ET cared about. Jay was having fun, we were having fun, until ET snapped at one of us, and things were gravy. Except ET decided to pull Jay aside at the end of class one day. Myself and a few others hung around, knowing it wouldn't be good, pretending to talk and be on our phones. ET, Jay, I'm going to have to ask you not to come to the concert next week. Jay, not understanding what was going on. What? But I practice every day. ET, I know, but you stand out above everyone else, and you just don't sound good. You can't come to the concert next week. I'll let your parents know. Jay started crying, and not just crying, but full out sobbing. ET didn't care. He just looked at her with a little smirking smile and took her aide to the side to speak some more words, and then they both left. He looked at myself and the other choir members, shrugged a little, and said now we can perform better. Then he left. We were furious. To take away that opportunity for someone like Jay was just cruel. We told the other members of the choir, and spoke with Jay's aide about what happened. She agreed that what ET said was wrong, and Jay was really upset over it. What happened next I wasn't there to witness, but the aide told Jay's parents what had happened and they were, of course, angry and upset as well. They had a meeting with ET and the principal and, long story short, all students were allowed to and had the right to be included to any choir events, as they were members of the choir and couldn't be banned unless they broke school policy. ET had to bite his tongue and apologize to Jay in front of the whole class and say that she could come to the concert. Yes, ET still teaches at my school and yes, he's still an asshole, but his behavior has been curbed a bit. TLDR. Arsehole teacher tries to stop student with special needs from performing at a choir concert. Thank you. Next. Now this is going back to my school years around 18 years ago, but it just popped into my head the other day and I thought I'd share it with you guys. TL. Doctor at the end. Context. So back in school I shared a class with these 3 girls. They were nice girls but kept themselves to themselves. They all came from the upper class area and didn't really socialize with anyone. They were very intelligent and they were deemed the SWATs. School SWAT definition. All their parents were friends and they all worked in education. 2 out of the 3 girls' parents, both mother and father, worked for Ofsted. Ofsted is Office for Standards in Education, Children's Services and Skills. Basically the governing body for all schools in the UK. What they say goes. So around year 9 in school you had to sit the SATs exams. There were 3 exams, English, Science and Maths. These didn't really do a lot other than give them and yourself an idea of what you were going to take for your GCSE. Sorry, I don't know the American/other worldly equivalents. Your GCSEs are the basic platform of qualifications you need for other qualifications and jobs for the rest of your life. With GCSEs, you will then do A-levels which will in turn get you into university for a degree. The SATs were level based and 5 was low, 6 was mid and 7 was the highest, if I remember rightly. Story time. Now I was doing well at school but my English teacher took a real disliking to myself and the lad I sat next to. She used to single us out every single lesson. If they were reading, she would make us do it, and if we stuttered, she would call us out and make us feel bad about it. She was an absolutely awful teacher to us. She pulled us to the side the day before our SAT English exam and said, "I really don't expect you two to do any better than getting a 5, and even then I'd be very surprised." Now, I was a high 6 student, maybe even borderline 7. She was just being a dick saying I was a 5. So fast forward to exam results day, and as I am walking to registration at the start of the day, the head of English pulls me to the side and says, "I know you're not meant to know yet, but I couldn't wait to tell you. Well done Ridnewop, you've got a level 7 result, and not only that, you were the highest in the entire school." Whoa. Boom. I did it. Can't believe it. I run up to my class, sit down and wait to hear the teacher pass out the results. I hit 7s in all my exams. I am absolutely ecstatic. I look up and see 2 of the SWATs crying their eyes out, like absolutely bawling. It turns out that one had managed a low 6 and the other a high 5. What? Skip to the next day and I get a letter handed to me from the teacher, and it's addressed to my parents. So, I take it home and it's a request for one of my parents to go in the following evening to discuss an issue. My granddad was the one who always went with me to anything, so the next day he comes into school and we go into this meeting with the headmaster. "Headmaster, now I have asked you all here today because there has been an error in the marking of the English SAT paper. The results your children have been given are wrong and will be changed to the correct standard." Now at this point I'll look up and realize that in this room there are only 2 people that didn't do well, the SWATs, and others that did. The entire year wasn't here, so that means they're only revising the marks on our papers. My granddad also notices this and questions the headmaster. "Granddad, so I would assume that the marks are too low and we will be getting higher marks? The whole year isn't in this room, so it can't be a widespread problem. Would this have anything to do with a large difference between the projected results and the actual results?" All the other parents then start kicking off as they realize what is going on and obviously want their children to do the best they can and not have good achievements taken away from them. Every parent but the SWAT's parents are kicking up a fuss. They're sat there on their high horse looking down on everyone. Fast forward another week and the results are back. Guess what? Everyone's marks have been lowered. Except for the SWATs. My score has been lowered to a mid-6 and everyone else who overachieved had been dropped to the level they were predicted. The SWATs however now have near perfect level 7 scores. I go home crying and tell my granddad the story. Now my granddad is a well-connected man and always has been. Very sociable, and he has friends that are in the strangest and most obscure jobs. Turns out that he knows one of the top dogs in the entire country for Ofsted. He gets out his phone book and gives him a call. Tells him the story. Tells him who they are and asks if they have the power to do that. He says they have the power but they have overstepped their authority as it's a conflict of interest. He will take my granddad's phone call as an anonymous complaint and will deal with accordingly. He does apologize and say that unfortunately the exam result will not be able to be changed and that it is what it is. However, if it was to stop me from doing the GCSEs I wanted, it didn't. He would speak with the school and encourage them to let me do it. Now years later, way after school, I bump into a friend who ended up marrying one of the SWATs. He proceeds to tell me that they all hate me because one of each of the parents involved in the exam scam, as he called it, had to resign from their position after a random internal review found them in breach. They knew it was because of me and they all still to the day hate me for it. Winner. TL. Doctor. Daughters of parents in educational authority have exam results changed because they didn't perform as they should have while knocking over performers down. Eventual result in them losing their jobs.